brands rely on us to create creative that ultimately sells a product. So they're not paying you to learn how to do this stuff. That's what spec shoots are for. That's where you learn. That's your time.
Absolutely.
All right, so we've got Wade here talking about, we've just talked about spec on a photographer's point of view. Wade, during the Whitney shoot, we had kind of the first half of the day slotted for the photography, the last portion of it slotted for the video. Can you talk a little like about and like walk us through how you got this shot? Because we had about 3 days to plan and kind of run through it.
Yeah.
Can you talk to us about how you did this? Like I think maybe 10-second clip with Whitney, because it's done great for us on the website as far as lead generation.
Everybody welcome Wade.
Thank you. Thank you for having me and providing your, artistic, creative input,
Yeah.
directorial, say and everything.
Yeah.
With respect to the spec work, the Whitney shoot you just mentioned was obviously a, photo-centric spec shoot, but what was really cool is we just got the Blackmagic 6K full frame camera and I had the chance to, take it for a spin, get some great BTS of the photo shoot, but it also kind of doubled as like a spec shoot for video as well with Whitney. Austin, you had this great idea for a sequence where the idea was that we had Whitney look at the camera, go through several like model poses, touching the face, sliding the hand gracefully across the chin. And it was a series of lighting cues that simulated strobe flashing like it was a photo shoot, but it was captured in video. So it was this really cool, kind of mix between video and photo to highlight, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but to highlight the kind of style of photography or like to show in our portfolio, hey, we can get this kind of photo shoot, but presented in a video.
Yeah, I saw that video somewhere online done by like a big agency, and it was like, can we do that as well? We have all the equipment, we have all the lighting, we have all the studio. If we just had the wardrobe and the model, can we pull something like that off? And we didn't have a ton of time to do it.
Yeah.
Could you tell us a little bit? We use the lights all the time, but we haven't done a ton of lighting cues and stuff like that. And that was obviously one of the bigger spec shoots we've done, and that put you especially. Obviously, I didn't help with the lighting cues, but how did that put you in a different realm like we were talking about earlier with learning new things?
It was really a fun challenge, and I'll kind of describe my process. So the idea was that, like looking at the inspo, looking at our lighting setup, I thought, okay, I want to basically set up more or less four different lighting setups, like shadow on the face, backlight on the cyc wall. We have this beautiful, really big white cyc wall that we can light up with novas that are mounted to the ceiling. So you like silhouette of Whitney with like an edge light and then like harsh side lighting, full flash. So all these different like crazy lighting cues that we had to program in sequence. All those lights are connected via our Citus Pro or Citus link to our iPad app that we can then go in and sort of lock in a setting for each parameter of each light and say, okay, this is like Q1, this is like Q2. Now I want you to transition between the cues at this interval. And where the challenge came in was this whole thing had to be retimed. It had to be like slowed up or slowed down and sped up and speed ramped quite a bit to get that like flash, flash, flash.
Yeah.
And so obviously it would be really hard to film it in that speed. Like you want the flexibility in post to be able to control, especially when you're putting it to certain music, control when those light hits are happening.
Right.
And you want to be able to have Whitney, in real time, be able to like pose herself and kind of go with some kind of cue. That was the main challenge, how to cue the model so she knows when the flash is coming. Because if I just like flashed a bunch of lights and changed lighting cues, how is she going to know when to pose? Like she's not going to have any idea. She's just going to move around.
And then it's not going to give the photo shoot like whole idea.
Exactly.
Like
the whole goal was like, we're going to transition between like silhouette, side light, flash or something like that. So it's like she's posing, flash, and she holds for the flash. To get that I first set up the looping cue, and it was about 8 cues or so that looped, and it was like boom, boom, flash, boom, 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 flash. So it was a little irregular. It wasn't like very consistent. So it had some, you know, I was trying to break it up so it wasn't like a repeatable pattern you could immediately identify. And then once I had that, it played over about 10 seconds or so. Recorded it on my phone, brought that recording home, and then measured out like, okay, how far apart are these flashes? What would that be in beats per minute if I was going to put it to a song? The beat was pretty slow. There were 2 songs I found. One was Sign of the Times by Harry Styles, but that was too slow. I'm not, cause like, dun, 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 it's the sign of the time. It just kills the energy. You know, with model shoots, you want upbeat,
High
poppy
energy,
energy.
right,
So that was out. So instead, I double timed it, and it was Gnarls Barkley. I remember when.
Yeah.
I remember. So then it was like 3, 2, 1, flash. So that's how we queued it up. So I looped that for about a minute, and it was me saying like 3, 2, 1, flash over the music. Explained that to Whitney, explained that what that's what we were doing. It took a few tries because, you know, she was trying to kind of getting into it, but we ran that about 4 times, each a minute long. And it worked out really well after that. Like, she was so good. She had these incredible, like, piercing eyes when she looks into the lens. She would like kind of like guide her chin a little bit like that, sort of off to the side and gracefully with her hand. It worked really well with the lighting cues. Immediately, there was just some incredible images, just still frames that came out of it. So that one shoot that lasted, you know, the sort of the last half of the day, or you know, last part of the day, gave us a great piece for the portfolio. We learned a lot about how to like work these lighting cues in a sequence with a model, like with posing, and how to retime it.
Right.
So not only did we get great BTS of the photo shoot and help us learn the black magic and work on that color with outside and inside, but also, yeah, this amazing, you know, light cue robot shoot on our red. It was really cool.
I think from an ethical standpoint too, we get a lot of people that'll reach out and they'll ask us about, hey, can you guys do this? Can you do this? And we say yes, or, you know, like, no, that's out of our wheelhouse. This is who we would recommend for that. Being ethically, ethically selling a job and saying, we can take your money and we can deliver what you're asking us to do, is something that a lot of companies get burnt on. There's so many photographers, so many videographers, so many studios that punch way outside of their weight class without actually going through the motion of doing some of this stuff. So like, you know, before when we like just got the aperture lights, can you guys do lighting cues? Like, yeah, of course the lights can, but
Right.
do we know how to do it, and have we set it up?
Yeah.
No. So it was a great, like, on our own dime,
Right.
figuring out how to do that, and the couple days that it took to like get everything connected and working and synced up. Like, now we can ethically say, like, yeah, like, lighting cues are not an issue if you needed to hit at a specific beat.
Yeah.
So I think that's a really important thing too about spec shoots, is being able to ethically say, yes, we can do this before you take someone's, you know, money. Like, especially with what we do, startups rely on us, or, you know, brands rely on us to create creative that ultimately sells a product.
Mhm.
So they're not paying you to learn how to do this stuff. That's what spec shoots are for. That's where you learn. That's your time.
Absolutely.